one thing. Welcome to Without Shame or Blame. This is Saturday, January 30th, 2021, and we are here today at Trinity Episcopalian Church, the temporary home for Juneteenth Virginia Portsmouth Theater Academy, and we are continuing our tradition of interviewing our friends and supporters as they are available. And today we're going to have a chat with AZ, and he'll explain everything from what AZ stands for to how he is involved with what we do here at Juneteenth. Where's the plug? Over there? AZ, can you plug that in there? On the floor there? Yeah. Anything available?
You can move those plugs around if you have to.
Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna put me here and me there. Good. Okay, so we can get started.
Yep, and action.
And action and all of that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
AZ, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So let's start off with how long you've been working with Juneteenth Virginia in some shape capacity away, or did you even know that's what you were doing?
Oh, yes, I did. I
Okay.
did know. It's been pretty much, I met Jimmy, actually, I picked him up for a Lyft ride.
Okay.
And I want to say that was probably like March of 2018. And pretty much it just started. He was telling me about how he was involved in a lot of different projects.
Uh-huh.
I told him, of course, just kind of the small talk conversation we
Right.
had during the ride. I told him that I worked with at-risk youth and teenagers,
Mhm.
and he said he had, like I said, some projects going on. So of course he was interested in kind of having them to be able to help out, giving
Right.
them some structure and guidance and work ethic and just all the things that
Right.
we obviously, like for our kids and youth to be part of.
Right.
So, like I said, we definitely exchanged numbers at that point, and to make a long story short, here I am. No, but
that is a short version of a long story, because the Jimmy that we are referring to is quite the character.
yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. You can't help but love Jimmy.
Yeah, and be exasperated at the same time. So, but
Yeah.
he has been a strong supporter of what Juneteenth is all about, which
Yeah,
is essentially our mission is to help America heal from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame.
Right. Yes.
And to that end, it takes people who are willing to kind of work on faith that,
Yeah, definitely.
this is going to,
Gonna come to fruition.
yeah, exactly,
Happen and, yeah,
exactly,
take off,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And so you meet Jimmy through, you're driving a Lyft, you meet, and then the next thing, my first memory of you was somehow involved with the contraband story, the boat.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what, you know in terms of all of that.
Okay, yeah, so as far as the boat project, Jimmy was able to get in touch with, actually, he told me he had met a friend of his from like years ago, Larry, who he pretty much got to help him with working on the boat, fixing up the boat, and so forth. So that was, like I said, a project in and of itself. And I mean, pretty much, I remember going out to, that was in the celebration of the 400th anniversary,
Okay.
400th anniversary at Fort Monroe.
Uh-huh,
And like I said, that was when I think we finally met.
uh-huh.
And it was pretty much just that whole thing of getting the boat situated. He told me, up and ready, fixed
Right,
up to
right,
be able to do the project to reenact, if you will, the
right,
um, escape to Fort Monroe from Norfolk. That was pretty much the gist of that
Right.
that whole thing. And of course, I was involved in helping to get all that going and
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah, that was the start of the whole my introduction to Juneteenth.
So did you know the story of the contraband escape before?
Very little.
Okay.
Yeah, very
Okay.
little about it. And unfortunately, that's the thing. We're not really taught a lot of history
Right.
of Juneteenth. And
Right.
if you don't really know, you don't know.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's good that I should say I'm getting involved in something. The project. I'm definitely learning a lot, and definitely looking forward to it. Being a big thing. And I mean, obviously, it's just been voted into a national holiday.
Well,
So
a state holiday.
state holiday, yeah,
With
yeah,
the
state
goal
holiday.
of it becoming
Right,
a national
right.
holiday, right?
Yeah. So that's
Absolutely.
it's what 47 states and DC that are.
Yeah, I mean, actually,
Believe,
all
so.
50 states have either a resolution or a proclamation, citing Juneteenth. 4 states now have it as a state holiday. It's,
Yeah,
state
right.
employees not, going to work and everything.
Right.
And
Yeah. Right.
the push is to see it become a national holiday.
Correct.
And,
That's it. Yeah.
and we see Juneteenth, Virginia, as being, in particular Hampton Roads, as being particularly important to all of us because this is where it all started
Right.
in
yes.
terms of Black folks in America. That 1619 event when in August of 1619, those first Africans who were part of the British America that has now become the United States of America that we all
Right.
were talking about
Mhm.
started here. So, we have, I think, a responsibility and opportunity to be able to share this history in ways
Yes.
that are, healing and, kind of helping define, what it means to be an American,
Right.
And so, this is, it feels like it's got a special, kind of, impetus to what we're trying to get done here.
Right.
But I wanted, and then to that end, I wanted to ask you, are you from here originally?
Yes, Waverly, Virginia.
Okay, in the heat, in the heart of Virginia there, because that's more to western?
Yeah, northwest of here, pretty much about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so it's in Sussex, located in Sussex County.
okay,
Yeah, so you pretty much go down Route 460 and
uh-huh,
you go through Windsor, Wakefield, Ivor,
uh-huh,
Waverly. So
right,
those not in that particular order, but
right.
those are the towns
Right,
you go
right.
through to get to Waverly. Yeah.
And is that considered part of the Hampton Roads region?
No,
Okay.
Waverly's not. Like I said, Waverly's actually it's about 20 minutes north of Petersburg.
Okay,
So it's between here in Petersburg, but in a northwesterly direction.
okay. I want to get back to the boat just because that's a piece of history that's really important.
Mhm.
It is basically in May of 1861, about 1 month after the hostilities broke out at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. You had these 3 enslaved men who were working in Norfolk, they were enslaved, and they saw an opportunity to commandeer a rowboat
Mhm.
and make their way over across the water to Fort Monroe, where they demanded or asked for asylum. They didn't use that word, but that's what they were looking for.
Right.
And when their owner came to collect them, the general there, but Benjamin Butler, denied the return to the owner, the Confederate owner, under a federal policy known as contraband of war,
Okay.
which basically said that you could confiscate the property belonging to the enemy. As a Confederate, this was the enemy to, the federal forces, and so they were denied their return. They were not returned to their owner, and they were put on the federal payroll, which essentially put them on the path to citizenship.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So essentially, at Fort Monroe, 1 month after the Civil War broke out, Black folks were gaining their freedom from chattel slavery at Fort Monroe.
I got
This
you.
was 2.5 years before the Emancipation Proclamation, and ultimately, around the South, you had thousands of people living in camps that were federally, protected.
Okay.
And that's kind of the contraband of war story that most people don't know about, because essentially, freedom started in 1861
Mhm.
at the beginning of the Civil War,
Mhm.
as opposed to waiting until the Emancipation Proclamation. And the fact that it started here in Virginia at Fort Monroe is what we want people to know about.
Certainly.
It shows how we were not waiting on some some great emancipator to free us, but we were actively involved in the process of getting free.
Mhm.
And the way that you tell the story impacts how people hear the story.
Mhm. That's
And
right.
we need people to understand this history from this perspective. And that's why the folks that you work with, the young people you work with,
Mhm.
we want desperately for them to be a part of all of this. So
Right.
how do you see being able to engage them in what we're doing with Juneteenth?
Oh yeah, I think the first rule of engagement is engaging them and talking to them about it.
Mm-hmm.
Briefing them on the history, whatever things that they haven't learned
Mm-hmm.
or know about. Tell them, and it starts with a little.
Right.
And then you can pique interest with a little. Few facts here, and
Mm-hmm.
encourage them to do their own research, of course.
Mhm.
To learn more. But I mean, definitely bringing them in, telling them about it, having them involved in the process, and even if they're involved in going to some of the events and things
Mhm.
like that. So I definitely want to encourage them, and like I said, we'll definitely bring them out,
Okay.
because like I said, they enjoy learning about Black history and things like that. So this is definitely something that would I feel would pique their interest.
So you work for the city of Hampton
Yes.
in social services, or what exactly?
Yeah, it's actually an in-home counseling. It's an agency, integrated health services,
Okay.
and we actually do in-home counseling, which is what I do. I'm an in-home counselor,
Uh-huh.
or QMHP, C, qualified mental health professional.
Okay.
The C is for child, but of course they have the A for adult. But
Okay.
that's all in licensing and stuff like that. But that's what I do
Okay.
essentially. And of course, we have other entities within the company. They have a share program which works with sex offenders.
Mhm.
They have an SA group, substance abuse group.
Mhm.
So definitely doing some other things, mental health skill building, which actually is what I call mentoring for adults. It's actually a service that works on the adult side
Mhm.
of individuals, or of course that don't qualify for the in-home side. So
Okay.
and that's typically individuals that are 18, not in school,
Okay.
not living in the home with their caregiver, guardian, or parent.
Mhm.
So those individuals would typically qualify for the mental health skill building side.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
How'd you get into this?
That's what I was actually getting ready to say. I've actually been doing in-home counseling since 2011, but I've been in the mental health, my mental health career since 1996. I actually graduated from Hampton University
Mhm.
in 1996. And pretty much a month later, I was with the Hampton Newport News Community Services Board.
Mhm.
I was with them for 15 years. I did everything from, actually, when I first started out, my first job with them was working with mentally challenged youth.
Okay.
And it was a summer program And so I actually worked there for about a year and a half. Then went to the day support program working with intellectually disabled adults.
Okay.
So I was with them for about a year and a half. So pretty much in 1998, that's actually when I went into what was actually then called community care coordination.
Mhm.
And that was pretty much, another entity of case management, but, just different duties and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But and so the CSB actually started their mentor program in 1998.
Mhm.
So I was one of the first mentors of the program. So I did that pretty much when I was with the CSB. I was with them about what, 13, 15, well, yeah, about 15 years. So about, I would say 12 to 13 of those years, somewhere in there, I held two jobs with them. So I was always working.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I did different things with them. I did substance abuse case management. Um, I worked with independent living program for teenagers.
Mhm.
That was pretty much through social services. And yeah, so like I said, I've been in the field a while
Yeah.
and
So.
seen and done a lot. So it's
Yeah.
still more to do.
And I mean, and historically, this has been an area that has been not well funded in terms of like getting resources that are needed and everything. Do you think it's going to be a difference now that we got a new administration in there?
You know what? Hey, we can always be hopeful. I definitely have to be, I would say, optimistic. That the mental health side would. And I mean, I would say, because I'm a big NFL fan, and I know that Brandon Marshall, who was a wide receiver, in the league,
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of bouncing around from team to team. He had a lot of emotional problems, things like that. So he actually went and got tested, and he was tested. He's an adult now, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but this was his first time really being introduced to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching a documentary on him and how he was saying that he just didn't know what was wrong with him. He didn't know his mood swings, the behaviors, the issues, the anger. He, just didn't know where it was coming from. So once he got tested, he was tested for bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
and that just it's almost like that's when the NFL really kind of recognized,
Okay.
started recognizing mental health
Right.
as a real issue,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
So he definitely spearheaded that, I would say, and it really gave, I would say, a lot of eyes now. 'Cause, NFL players, entertainers, sports, people, they have a big platform, and
Right.
we look at them
Right.
as celebrities, and follow
Right.
them in their career. So I definitely think that once he did that, that definitely put a great spotlight on
Right.
mental health.
Right. Right.
And like I said, it just continues to grow. So
Yeah.
I would, like I said, be optimistic that that momentum would only continue.
Right.
Obviously, like I said, in this administration, and they would get the eyes and the things that need to be,
Right.
where it needs to go, and just keep this train going.
Right. I mean, my
Mental health
hope,
is a big thing.
yeah, my hope is that we will be able to put these young folks in in the theater programs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah.
we want to teach people how to be historical reenactors, like you find in Jamestown and Colonial Williamsburg.
Right.
That's going to require learning how to research and, critical thinking and
Oh, yeah.
teamwork,
Right.
all of those kind of values that we, are wanting folks to have, and
Definitely.
as well as train them to be actors on the Broadway stage, because
Nice,
there's
yeah.
a lot of talent in this area.
Oh yeah.
I think Pharrell has something. There's something in the water.
Yeah, it is. I would agree. I agree.
We got athletes, entertainers,
Yeah. Yeah.
just coming out of, just everywhere,
Mhm.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
So to be able to, I'd like to see people wearing multiple hats in terms of the work that they do Juneteenth, so you, in a play as an actor, but you're also a software IT person who can help us, design, programming and so forth like that.
Right.
And ultimately, gaining skills that will, be useful in multiple kind of careers and so forth like that.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Right.
And ultimately, creating ambassadors who, when people come to this region, they will be well versed in terms of being able to articulate and tell the history and tell these stories, you know. And ultimately, telling these stories are ultimately how we move beyond, you know, in terms of
Yeah.
the stress and the all the things that we need mental health, you know, therapy for. You know,
Right.
part of it is resolving this history
Yes.
in ways that people are able to like face the truth and
Right.
ultimately move beyond that. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah. So so my thoughts in terms of the boat, to go back to that,
Mhm.
is that that becomes a project that really these young folks can really be, you know, kind of like the leaders of in terms of
Right.
making it happen.
Yes.
I would like to see a reenactment of where they got off in Norfolk, which is they believe Sewell's Point,
Mhm.
Willoughby Spit, somewhere up in there,
Right.
and made their way over to Fort Monroe and Hampton.
Right.
I can't figure out yet. Did they have to cross the Chesapeake Bay, the James River? I just can't figure it out, and
You
no
know
one
what?
has been able to help me figure it out yet. So,
Oh yeah. Those bodies of water run together on there. So yeah, I
right.
guess the path traveled is that's a mystery to me too.
That's not the right answer, AC.
I would have to find. I would have to look into that myself. I got to research more myself.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah. Because you know, I mean, geographically, I mean, you know, Sewell's Point, like I said, that's Sewell's Point, Willoughby Spit. Yeah. So I mean, see, that's the thing. It just where they left from would kind of, if you could almost like pinpoint that. You know, I don't even know if that's really possible.
Apparently,
per se.
it's not, because the geography has changed.
Right.
It's been 150 something years, so
Yeah.
it's not. It wouldn't be the same anyway. But even to be able to like just kind of figure it out
Right.
from what was
Start
it,
to
you
finish.
know?
Right. Yeah. That
But
is
how long did it take? And
right.
apparently, it was pretty risky, you know, to you know, to be in a rowboat, you know, in the Chesapeake Bay, kind of thing
Right.
like that. You know,
Yeah.
they probably couldn't swim.
Right.
Not that it would have mattered if they
Yeah. I
needed
guess
to, really.
they figured it was worth the risk.
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly.
Sometimes
So,
you got to go for it.
yeah. So what in terms of wearing multiple hats? Are you interested in putting stepping on the stage and doing something?
I never say never. I mean,
Well, that's
it's
all I.
yeah. Hey, you know, I step into roles that I never know what the
Okay.
known end result is. So
Okay.
that's why I'm here now. So
But you're not
still
saying
finding
no,
my
so
way.
that's a great
Oh
sign.
no,
All right.
I wouldn't say no. No, not at all.
We'll start you off with easy, you know, just kind of like background, you know, extra kind of stuff. Like
Right,
that. You know,
right,
No
yeah.
page-long monologues or anything like that. I've got a couple people right now. We're doing the adaptation of the Confessions of Nat Turner,
Right. Okay.
and that is basically Nat Turner talking nonstop, you know,
Okay,
for
yeah.
like 2 hours on stage, kind of thing like
I
that. So
gotcha.
we're adapting that and trying to make it, theater friendly
Right.
in terms
Okay.
of sharing it as a theater piece.
Right.
But what has pointed out is that it's really hard work being on stage, and a lot of people
Yeah.
come here thinking that it's all fun and games,
Right.
and they quickly learn that fun and games with a lot of hard work.
Right. It's fun and games when we children at the church Christmas play. That's fun and games back then when you get in front of people that's outside the church and
Right.
not
Right.
in the big audiences and
Right.
streaming this. We
Right.
got all these kind of social media
Right.
Resources and networks
Yeah.
now.
We're
So
excited, yeah. I mean,
it puts a little edge on, a little more intensity.
Yeah, it's a different day. That's a fact, and
Right.
it literally starts with 2021 in
Mhm.
terms of people understanding the power of all of this. Because now that Trump is like not on Twitter, it's made a huge difference right away, right?
Right.
So we
Mhm.
know he's going to get back up there,
Right.
but we now know how important it is to be able to have that social media platform, kind of like saying what you wanted to say and
Right.
boom, beaming it out to the world. So,
Right.
and I want these young folks to appreciate the power that that they all have now. And we
Right.
have, if you have access to the technology, you can say something that that's impactful, and you don't want to waste it with just like when people wave at the camera when it's, you know, panning the crowd and stuff like that.
Right.
When the camera hits you, you want to have something to say.
Yeah, I got you.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
and
right.
that's what the
That's right.
goal is.
That's right.
It's for people
Okay.
to have something to say, you know?
I got you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I have to ask you because you're a black male in a world where there are not a lot of black men who are there as role models. I mean, has that been a source of stress to you, or how has that impacted you?
Um, well, I mean, honestly, I get complimented quite often.
Mhm.
Even when I talk with people, like I might be picking them up for a ride or, you know, whatever, we get to talking and I tell them what I do. And, you know, it's always a positive response. You know, I've heard comments, oh man, I wish, you know, I had a counselor. I wish, you know, I could have
Mhm.
used that when I was growing up. And,
Mhm.
you know, they're always very complimentary and, um, you know, of it being a positive thing. You know, me working with the youth of
Mhm.
today and everything. And of course, like I said, I've had a long career in it, you know, so far, and you know, definitely still more to do, still a long way to go. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, when I first started out, it was, you know, I think I kind of, you know, put a lot more stress on myself, I would
Mhm.
say initially. But I think as I learned and as I grew in the
Mhm.
field in my career, I feel like, you know, my focus changed to as long as I can make an impact,
Mhm.
you know, small, medium, large, you know, however I impact someone or use life, or even the family that I work with, you know, with
Mhm.
the youth family, I definitely feel like I'm doing my part,
Mhm.
and I feel like, you know, the rest is up to them, you know, because a lot of times, you know, we come into a youth's and a family's life, and they're already, you know, set. They're already doing things the way they're doing them. So, you know, someone like me or a counselor or other counselors coming in to kind of disrupt that, if you will,
Mhm.
showing them some different things, exposing them to different things. You know, maybe even, you know, teaching the parents, you know, better skills or ways that they can improve.
Mhm.
So, like I said, you know, the impact that I feel like I make is definitely, you know, like I said, well complimented, well looked at,
Mhm.
and I just believe that, you know, anybody that's doing this and, you know, just helping someone, bringing someone else along, teaching someone, you know, is doing great things, you know. So, like I said, I take it all in stride, and
Mhm.
like I said, I just, you know, do what I do, you
So,
know.
is there a story of a family or a person, young client that you remember in terms of like you feel like it made a difference?
Oh yes, definitely. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, I, you know, started in the mentor program in '98,
Mhm.
and actually one of my first, I say he was probably, you know, one of my first five um, mentor clients.
Uh huh.
Um, he was a 9 year old at that time, and I'm still in touch with him to this day.
Really?
So yeah, so I mean, I definitely have others that I've worked with also, but you know, he's always the one that I kind of go to first because he's the one that I've, you know, impacted
Mhm.
I'm not, I can't even say I've impacted the most, but at the same time, he's the longer tenured,
Okay.
you know, client that I've had, you
Okay.
know, that I met and have had contact with, you know, throughout the years.
And how old is he now?
30.
30. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely my go-to guy. You know,
Okay.
I talk about him, and like I said, you know, we developed a friendship, and you know, like I said, you know, beyond the
Mhm.
scope of services and all
Mhm.
that, and like I said, I have a lot of others that I still, you know,
Mhm.
talk to and keep in contact with, you know, their mom or, you know,
Mhm.
caregiver, whatever, you know, I
Mhm.
check in with them just to see how they're doing,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, it's good. Like I said, I feel like, you know, if he were the only one
Uh huh.
that I, you know, reached and touched, and you know, feel like, you know, we could have a long friendship and,
Mhm.
you know, relationship like this, you know, that one is my trophy.
Yeah.
But I, like I said, but I have others. But
Okay.
you know, at the
Yeah.
same time, I enjoy, talking about that because it's a special relationship.
And see, that makes me think of an event that we could do where we would invite, them as well as other folks in similar situations,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
and talk to them about, a lot of the work that, we're doing this year is centered on Nat Turner,
Right. Okay. Okay.
and, when I was growing up here, some people would whisper about Nat Turner, but you couldn't talk about him in, polite company kind of thing like
Right.
that.
Right.
And, but times have changed, and I particularly want to see young men, and women also, but, certainly young males,
Mhm.
to know that story
Right.
and what it all meant. And I mean, one of the things about Nat Turner that got him in trouble was the fact that he could read and write, and and here we have in this age, where that's not considered, that important,
Mhm.
and
Right.
so just to get them talking and so forth like that, so
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
so I'll put yet another thing on your list, Az.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's all right. I like it. Sounds good.
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you to talk about why what AZ is all about in terms of
Oh,
your
yeah.
name and everything like that. You told me earlier, but share that. What is AZ? It's not Arizona. I
No.
realize that.
No, not quite. Okay, so my dad's name is Armand. Okay, so my name is Armand's son. So Armand, and then add SON.
Okay.
And I have a twin brother. His name is Armando.
Really?
Yes. So that's how our names came to be. Armando's a pretty common Spanish name.
Okay.
But I've never run across another Armandson. So right now I'm the only one.
Okay.
So our parents are both born and raised in Virginia. My mom is from Orange County. Grew up mainly in Richmond though.
Okay.
And my dad was born and raised in Waverly, Virginia.
Okay. Okay.
So so our middle names. My brother's name was Jabari. Jabari, he was born first.
Okay.
So my parents named him Jabari, middle name Jabari, I should say. And Jabari, West African, is brave.
Okay.
So he was brave because he came out first.
Okay.
And so I came out second, obviously, 7 minutes later. And my name, Zubairi, is strong.
Zubairi?
Zubairi, like Chesapeake Bay. So it's like Zoo, then Bay,
Okay.
Re. So Zuberi.
Okay.
So and so AZ is Armandson Zubairi.
Okay.
So and like I said, a lot of people, when I tell them, I say, hey, my name's Armandson. Like I remember one guy, I must have said it too fast, and he said, "Awesome, awesome, awesome, Austin." So I get all kinds of, and of course, if you look at my name, people just mispronounce it anyway. Armandson and Armandson, and just So like I said, yeah. So I decided, that kind of when I meet people, I just go AZ. I say AZ.
AZ.
And I mean, I'll tell them my name's Armandson, and they're yeah. So I still go through that. But AZ, they just say, okay, AZ, we'll stick with that. So it's pretty easy. So that's the origin of my name there, and that's how we.
So your parents, I mean, that sounds pretty progressive in terms of your naming and so forth like that. And coming out of Virginia, that's kind of unusual. It feels like. And
Right. Yeah.
Were they kind of the professors, academics in the community?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Both of my parents were educators. Actually, my dad retired at 55. My dad's now 87, so he's been retired a long time. But he retired from the public school system.
Okay.
He was an assistant principal over in Franklin, Virginia, at SP Morgan Elementary School.
Okay.
And my mom, she actually just retired 2 years ago from 50 years in education. Of course, both my parents, college graduates, master's degree recipients, and I mean, my dad, actually, my dad's side of the family, all of them, college graduates,
Okay.
very successful, men, and my only aunt on that side, she was college graduate as well.
Mhm.
But yeah,
That's
so
really
so
pretty
yeah,
special.
we got a lot of history there, and
Mhm.
education was you got to matriculate from
Right.
preschool to
Right.
college. So
Right.
yeah, they said beyond that,
Right.
it's on you. But
Right.
that's the standard. So,
Right, right. And
yeah.
I have a theory about this area having a high
Mhm.
level of, educated people, because those
Mhm.
folks, Africans in 1619, they were mostly indentured servants
Right.
who earned their, worked their contract and earned their freedom. And ultimately, I would see they as the ancestors of the black middle class
Hmm.
in terms of that. So
Mhm.
that is something that, again, that's when it's important for us to tell our stories
Right.
as opposed to letting other people, interpret that and everything like that. Because who's going to be thinking about black middle class before the 20th century?
Right.
It's like, what? That couldn't have existed, but
Right.
it did because
Yeah.
that's what free blacks were.
Certainly, yeah.
And, that's the conversation that we want, again, for, the Portsmouth Theater Academy to help people start, asking those kind of questions and so forth like
Right.
that.
Right.
And so, yeah, seems like, we're on the right road here, huh?
Yeah,
Feels
hey,
like it,
that's
huh?
right. We got, like I said, got to keep on going. It's got to get better. I mean, it's always it gets worse before it gets better
That's what they say,
situations.
right?
But hey, better times have come, and we kind of revert or go back to those worse or bad times too. But
Mhm.
just got to keep pushing forward. Because
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Excuse me, that is my phone, I believe. Trying to do something here, but I think we've talked about, anything you want to share in terms of philosophy or hopes, dreams? Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, unfortunately, my 49ers aren't there to try to do it this year. But
They've been out of it for a while, haven't they?
no, we went last year. We lost to the Chiefs.
Oh,
Like
okay,
I
that's
said,
right.
yeah, it was looking good. We were in ahead, 6 minutes left in the game, but had some blunders, and
Right,
the Chiefs
right,
came
right.
back and beat us. But
That's
yeah,
right. That's right.
but anyway, I don't know. As far as that goes, I almost say it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a good game. It's definitely, two great teams. Though they
Mhm.
made it. They made it there for a reason. So
Mhm.
I'm a pretty much go Chiefs. Though I think that's my prediction. Chiefs going to win it.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's going to be a good game for sure.
Well, we deserve it. I think
Yeah.
the American public deserves a good Super Bowl.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, with all the craziness
Oh
of
my
this year, and
gosh.
oh man, it's yeah, and I was just great to even have had a season,
Yeah. I mean,
because it was looking, like it might not happen. So they made it through, with
yeah.
their provisions, and being proactive, and just taking charge, taking the
Right.
lead,
Right.
So that's the days and times we live in, though.
Yeah. Everybody's forgotten about Colin
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick, and
Yeah.
I mean, that seems so long ago.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And,
yeah. But another thing, with that though, what he did back then, what was that about pretty much at this point about 5 years ago.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he was a pioneer in that, and like I said, again going back to using your platform, he used his platform, initially he, sat during the national anthem.
Hmm.
And I know some people, it was reported, some people talked to him, or other big teammates or whatever, or like I said, higher ups, coach, I don't know. But anyway, I just remember the report coming in that, people talked to him about it. So that's when actually he decided to kneel as, because the sitting look was deemed unpatriotic.
Okay,
So, that's why he came up with the kneeling during the national anthem
right.
to show his patriotism, that it wasn't about the national,
Disrespecting any.
disrespecting,
Right.
yeah, the
Right.
armed services and,
Right.
and veterans and
Right.
all of that. But, even that, still didn't come over and, or was taken in well. But anyway, kind of progressing, unfortunately, to, more deaths of African Americans, and especially, obviously, we'll reference now and forever the George Floyd murder,
Mhm.
and death, as this very, very pivotal point.
Mhm.
And, of course, other, along that, in that,
Mhm.
Breonna Taylor and,
Mhm.
all those others. But like I said, the George Floyd seems to be the one that really started getting things changed. I mean,
Mhm.
look at the we call it the Washington football team.
Right.
Now, so to be politically correct, I won't mention the former name.
Right, right.
But look at that. I mean, they had been talking about changing the name of that franchise for years,
Right.
and now all of
In
a
fact,
sudden,
I think the owner said he would never do it.
right.
You know?
Yeah. So I mean, it's been, like I said, it's just things like that, and it's like, you're starting to see, like I was saying, those changes, those things of progression and things of evolution and things that take place. Like I said, that's all well and good as long as the momentum keeps going.
Mhm.
You can't go back and revert back, and lose those steps that we're, gaining. So, but yeah, like I said, the point about Kaepernick is, you know, um, once things started taking off after the George Floyd
Mhm.
death, the NFL now, and, even media, whatever, resources and
Mhm.
all that, now they almost regret not, taking heed to what Colin Kaepernick was
Mhm.
doing 5 years ago,
Mhm.
with what the movement he was trying to, start. I mean, like I said, I don't even think he was really starting a movement. It was just something that he was doing
His call,
personally,
yeah, exactly.
and it just took off. But at the same time, you know, he's now reverenced almost as, wow, we should have really paid attention, and we
Mhm.
should have really, done more,
Mhm.
instead of, pretty much essentially ending his career as a NFL
Right.
quarterback,
Right.
and now teams are, hands off, and, I mean, there's, all the talks of, teams that should pick him up,
Mhm.
could pick him up,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, I think, like I said, that was, the derailment of his NFL career as a quarterback. But, at the same time, he obviously made his choice, and made his decision. He was comfortable and content with it,
Mhm.
and here he is. So, like I said, and I think I heard not too long ago that they were, are they doing something, like a documentary or something with him? I think they're doing. But anyway,
Yeah,
I
I
won't
mean,
speak on it. But it seemed like it was something that I heard in passing,
right.
that there's something in the works with him. I know he's, got endorsements from Nike and, some other, big name,
Mhm. Mhm.
companies and stuff. So he's not, out of the spotlight per se, but
Right.
it's,
Right. Right.
it's,
Right.
it's, it's a lot of low key things. But, like I said, I definitely feel like his story is one for the ages as well.
I mean, as we're talking about it, I mean, I saw on YouTube somewhere a clip where he was giving a speech
Mm-hmm.
about, all of the kneeling and the respect and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about 6 or 7 minutes, and this was clearly a man who had moved beyond football,
Mm-hmm.
the career of football. He had found a passion, or something that was, just superseded everything,
Mhm.
because
Right.
it was the right thing to do,
Right.
and
Mhm.
I mean, I just heard that Black Lives Matter has been nominated for Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think Colin Kaepernick, deserves to be in that same,
Mhm.
crowd there,
Right.
because,
Oh yeah.
but, you know, it may be, you know, his time in terms of recognition will come later,
Right,
but, it doesn't matter to him.
right.
You know,
Right.
he's not doing it for recognition or
Right.
money, he's doing it because
Mhm.
it's the right thing to
Mhm.
do.
Right.
I'm gonna close up here because clearly
Okay.
somebody's trying to reach me here.
Okay,
But I
okay.
feel
We'll
like, you
use
know,
that as our closing tune.
well, thank you so much, AZ, for your time
Oh, yeah, thank you.
and for your
Pleasure.
commitment.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I
All
appreciate it. Look forward to doing more with Juneteenth.
All right.
All right.
We good?
We good.
We ain't run out of film.
I ain't gonna tell you. No, film, video room. Okay, all right. And let's end this podcast. Thank you.